Hello, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show's called Bruce on the Loose. I talk to people in city government, school system. Bill Damasio was a recent guest, and also we had State Representative Sharon Ray last week, and boy, she gave us a lot of information what's going on in state government. Paul Taylor's with us today, and he is the mass production.
Media production.
Media production, yeah. I think the name changed when
yes.
Paul came. And you haven't been here too long in Wadsworth, have you?
I have not. I just finished my second year.
Well, it's really interesting to have you in Wadsworth. How did you get the information that the job was open?
Right, so I actually took a similar program when I was in high school called video production. I went to Hoover High School. And one of my mentors and teacher, Tim McCarty, sent me the job posting. I've always joked with him like that I was eventually going to get his job whenever he retired. And he sent this and said, "Hey, this is 15 minutes from your house. I live in Copley. You should check it out." And I checked it out. I contacted Roger Wright, who was the then Four Cities Compact Director, and kind of the rest is history.
You know, I had helped the student teachers for 7 years at Akron and told them that really you get openings and you find out from other mentors, from other people you run into. That's probably your situation too?
Yeah. I mean, it's the media business it's like any business, is all about who you know. And I've had so many mentors along the way, and I'm sure we'll get into my background a little bit. But yeah, it was, without him reaching out and sending me the posting, I would probably not be sitting here with you today.
Right. So Hoover High School, then where did you go to higher education?
Yeah, so I went to Kent State University, majored in broadcast journalism and sports production. And that's kind of where I've really fell in love with broadcasting, and especially the live production side on sports.
What are some of the other positions that you held prior to coming to Wadsworth?
Yeah, so prior to accepting the teaching position, I was at the Cleveland Browns for almost 15 years. So immediately after I graduated from Kent State, I took an internship at the Browns in their new media department, and I was a video editor, producer, supervising producer, director. I did everything there, but it was really fun. And I see, obviously, you have a lot of
I have some paraphernalia here. I was a season ticket holder for 25 years and really enjoyed the dog years. Cardiac Kids, I went 79 was my first year.
Okay.
And I was unfortunately in the Red Right 88 game. Very cold, very cold. They say minus 30, and I would say I had a little mustache, and it was all frozen over.
I've seen the pictures.
And then John Elway broke our hearts. The Drive, maybe a year later or so.
Yep.
So my wife and I and in-laws, Leon and Mary, sat through some of those games. Very interesting indeed. How did that job help you to go on to teach other students?
Yeah, so I think especially in career tech, and you talked to Mr. Damasio, who is our Four Cities director now, but he'd probably tell you the same thing. Career tech is all about experience, right? And so, like I said, I did every job in media production known to man. I started as a video editor, then I started to be a script writer, and a showrunner for all of our TV shows. Then I started working on our radio programming. So I did a lot of the radio shows that were partnered with 92.3, ESPN 850. And then I was a supervising producer, so I managed all of our show production. And then eventually, before I got this job, I was a director. So I've worked every single job from low man on the totem pole kind of stuff, production assistant, a card runner, all the way up to managing. At the time I managed a staff of 10, 12 folks, and we produced hours and hours of content for Browns fans. So I use all that knowledge to help teach the students.
It's kind of exciting to kind of start low on the totem pole, and sometimes the older Americans and educators say that young people aren't very patient. They want to, and I umpire a little bit, and the first year guys want to do the tournament games, and they want to do the big games, and I said, take your time. You can lead up to it, and you're probably a good example of that you do your job, and then something else comes up, and you rise through the organization.
That's exactly right. I kind of harp on the students pretty much daily about you got to start with the small stuff. Yes, it might be boring to learn about how a camera works, but if you don't know how a camera properly works, you can't move on to produce short films, and you have to do all the prep stuff, storyboards, scripting, all sorts of kind of stuff. But we have
some pictures here that tells you some of the background that you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is the students practicing 3-point lighting, which if you watch an interview on TV, this is the first thing that you have to kind of learn. Lighting is super important in video production, and so this is one of the first things that I teach our junior class. But this is a perfect example of what they need to know to kind of advance their skills.
So you have 11th and 12th graders.
Do
you see them at different intervals during the day?
I do, yes.
Okay.
So I see the 11th graders in the morning.
Okay.
So it's 2-period class. It runs from 7:35 until 9:10. And then I see my juniors, and now it's going to be a 3-period class because I asked to have more time with the students.
Sure.
And that's going to be from 12:10 to 2:30. So I'm going to get an extra 45 minutes with the seniors so we can do more advanced projects and really kind of get into the deeper kind of stuff.
It looked like on the videos we saw the technology.
Yes.
Certainly, you probably keep up with that, and probably each and every month something new comes out.
It's each and every week something new comes out. But yeah, that is the tough thing about video production business is, all these companies that produce the cameras, the live production equipment, the microphones, every year there's newer and better and easier things to learn. I think it's important in education, especially when you're teaching someone that has never picked up a camera or a microphone, that's as simple and easy to use. And so I am constantly it's my morning routine to wake up and kind of read the video production technology news to see what kind of equipment that I could purchase to help the students learn easier.
What type of activities do your students get involved in the 4 districts?
Yeah, so what's really unique about our program is we produce all of any live event here at Wadsworth High School. So choir concerts, band concerts, plays,
assemblies,
you name it. The only thing we haven't touched yet is sports, and I'm looking to kind of do that in the next few years here. But that's how kind of both my classes come together. Because a live production team, you have camera operators, you have someone switching the cameras, you have someone managing the audio, like mixing the audio, you have a director, you have a producer. So I have a pretty big team for each of those events, and we have to practice and learn that. So that's how all of the students come together to work. In terms of working outside of the Wadsworth School District, we haven't really done a whole lot. Again, the goal is to kind of branch out, do more in our community here, but then also assist in Barberton, Copley, and Norton.
Now that assembly, let's say you had assembly for Veterans Day.
We did.
That's a big event.
Yes.
Do you break that down afterwards and say, well, this could have been a little better, or boy, you really caught that really great. Mm-hmm. I mean, good cop, bad cop type of situation.
Yeah. So this year was the first year. This previous year was the first year that I really had the group analyze what their past performance was. I had one of my seniors was the executive producer on all the shows. So her job after show got done was to watch it back, take notes, come to me and we reviewed the notes and I would agree or I would add stuff, and then we would get together as a group before our next show to talk about all the things that we could do better. So, and that's no different than what happens in the industry. When I worked at the Browns, we would get a show done, and then the next day we would watch it and talk about how we could get better. And so again, I really try to take everything that I learned in the industry and translate it to the students, because hopefully one day they're going to be in my shoes.
It has to be gratifying if you say that some students have very little background, and as they progress you can see that, and it has to make your job really, again, gratifying and satisfactory that you can see the improvement.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly why, one of the main reasons I got into this, because again, I took this program when I was in high school, and it had a profound impact, obviously, in my career path. But I also felt like students would really benefit at an early age if they wanted to get into media production, to take a program like this, and I felt like I could make an impact. And even just seeing their faces brighten up after they produced a short little video or a piece of content is, at the end of the day, that's why I do it.
Well, we have one of your graduates here, Aiden Uzinski,
Yes, exactly.
Helping out, doing various shows around the Wadsworth area and outside. I know we did the Medina County Fair and all sorts of other activities in Akron, Firestone Stadium. Yep. Comment about his progress, and was he kind of a model for other students?
Yeah, so Aiden, when I took over 2 years ago, Aiden was part of my first senior class. So I only got to see Aiden for 1 year. I wish that I could have had him for 2 years. But even in that 1 year that I got to have him, I saw him grow as a leader. A lot of the bigger projects that we did, he was the one that was kind of, in any group scenario, would kind of pick up and lead the group. And then in terms of his skills, cinematography, storytelling, those increased throughout the year. So, and now obviously he's here at WCTV. He's told some great stories on his personal YouTube channel about his interests and hobbies. So it's really fun to see even the little bit that I got to teach him that year kind of translate into that.
What positions are available for students that have been in the program for 2 years? Are there jobs out there?
Yeah, it's interesting. It really depends on skill set and kind of what the student wants to get into. So across in any media job, so TV, radio, podcast producing, photography, there's always a place to get your foot in the door. And that's as simple as doing what I did, being an intern at a production company, or if you want to get into film, go and be just a production assistant. Yeah, you might be running coffee, you might be picking up something for the producer, but you're going to get invaluable experience being on set every day, learning those skills. And then eventually, since you're around, someone might say, hey, can you hold a boom pole and record some audio? Can you help on this? And then that's how they advance in their skills. So it's really kind of up to the student. I have a lot of students in this graduating class that I had this previous year getting into all sorts of things. A lot of them are going to college to get a post-secondary degree, but I have a number of students that are pursuing digital design, graphic design, and all sorts of different script writing and storybook writing. So I really just encourage them to try to network and get out there.
Sounds like a lot of different avenues. It just isn't always, maybe, we get the impression running the camera for the Guardians,
yes,
or the Browns or something like that, but there's so much more to do, and a lot of jobs are just related to mass production.
Yeah, I mean, any industry has some form of media attached to it. You can pick any type of industry, especially with social media now. Every business or brand has social media channels that they have to produce content for, whether it's something that's showing off a product or something, if it's a, say we have a big presidential election coming up soon, it could be political, you name it, there is a job for anyone. So I encourage a lot of my students that if you have an area of interest, 9 times out of 10, you can take any of the skills or the positions that you learned here and apply them in that field. So I have a young lady who was running our live production who wants to get into digital art, but she also is now thinking about like how she can translate her video skills into a job in that. So it's very interesting, or it's a very like open kind of educational background that you can have to get those roles.
Not only business and industry, but also the government and all its agencies. The safety board and the agriculture and foreign affairs. I mean, it's just unimaginable. All those people need to promote the good things they do and inform the people.
Yeah, everyone has a story to tell. No matter if you're if you run a small mom and pop business or you're a giant corporation like Walmart, you have a story to tell, and that's kind of the first thing that I tell my students from day one, even before they get into the program. When they're interested in trying to get in the program, I say, I'm going to teach you how to be a storyteller, and then from there you can either tell your own stories or help others tell their story. And that's basically, when you break it down, that's basically what I try to teach.
Do the students sometimes recruit, younger friends or relatives and people in the program? And by the way, do you have a full program as far as enrollment?
Yeah, so next year's junior class, which will be the new class, because again, I see the kids for 2 years, is, I think we're up to 20. So the max class size is 25. So we're not completely full, but we're getting there. But to your previous question, I do have a lot of students will come and bring their friends. In this case, I had a student graduate and her brother's taking the class next year. So it's kind of like word of mouth, especially if this generation that is coming up is all about social media, YouTube, Twitch, which is the video game streamer. And so they are very interested in how they could potentially get a job in that. So it's kind of easy. I just need to show them that they can use the equipment and they can learn the skills to do a job in any of those roles.
I'm sure once the fundamentals have been gone over, I'm sure the kids are excited and really want to go ahead and put all what they've learned to good use.
Yeah, it's the fun thing about the class is once you get through the basics, which like any job, the basics are usually kind of boring. It's learning programming, it's learning just the ins and outs on how to use a camera. But then you can really start producing the content. So immediately when the kids, pretty soon we start producing stuff because I want them to just get the feel of it, because creating is what's the fun part. But it's then learning advanced techniques to create better content. That's what really gets them excited. I had a lot of my juniors at the end of this year ask, Mr. Taylor, can we produce another short film? Can we do PSAs? Can we do this? And I'm like, that's what I want. If they want to do it, my job's pretty easy. I just have to facilitate and make it happen. Well,
then it's nice to go ahead, and sometimes they can correct themselves. Mm-hmm. Someone that may not be on the crew would say, well, this could have been a little better, this shot could have been tighter, and why did you do this or that? That's kind of nice for them to self-correct.
Yeah, and that's, again, it goes back to what we do in the live production where we watch stuff back. After we do any major project, we watch them together as a class. And I ask 2 questions. What did you like about doing it? And then the most important question is, what did you learn? doing it, and how are you gonna take that and translate that into the next project you do. So, and I think the students that really, and I say this is one of the most important parts of the process, is learning from your mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes because that's how you're going to get better. So I think the students that embrace that are the ones that really advance quickly and go pretty far.
How about budget? I guess recently people were supposed to, submit a budget. Is there anything that you really could use for the program to enhance it?
Yeah, so I'm taking over a program that was a little bit different than what I'm teaching now. Rich Barnett, who was the previous teacher, taught more of a well-rounded kind of just media arts production. So he did a lot of like graphic design, digital arts, that kind of stuff. My background's more video and audio production, so I shifted the program that way. And so I need a lot of equipment, and I need a lot of different gear. I also teach a broadcasting class that does our morning announcements, and I want that to be like a set like this, where the students sit down and it's a real. We have teleprompters now. I got them last year, and we have a few things, but like we were talking about previously, technology is so important. So in order to teach industry standard, I need that equipment. So it's a process. Obviously, there's 5 other programs at Wadsworth, and then I think we have a total of 19 or 20 programs in the compact. So, everyone tries to get a slice of the pie, and it just depends on, what is necessary. So, to answer your question, I need a good amount of technology. And I'm working with Mr. Damasio and Dr. Suber to kind of figure out, how we're going to budget that out and upgrade the equipment in the next few years.
It's kind of interesting. Sorry for the delay there.
But
Wadsworth doesn't have any extra levies or anything. This is just within the general budget. So it's really remarkable that all the 4 cities compact programs in Wadsworth and the other 3 districts are operating without any additional monies.
Yeah, it's a little different because in the 4 cities compact they get a separate budget, and so that's what helps make all the career tech programs run. And then my intro to broadcasting class, we come out of the general fund because it is a Wadsworth only class. So it is nice that we do, especially now. You had Sharon Ray on, and I'm sure she talked a little bit about how important career tech is at the state level. And so it's nice because we're starting to see some of that money come our way. But it's a little bit different than the Browns, where I was managing a multi-million-dollar budget to come into education. So I've had to change kind of my thought process and really only get what is absolutely necessary to teach the students. But my hope again is we're in the next 3-5 years we're going to have a nice studio, we're going to have podcasting studio, we're going to have enough good equipment that the students will leave my program and be able to go anywhere and be successful.
Sounds like you're taking baby steps along the way.
That's what it's all about.
1 year, we'll get this, we'll get the equipment, we'll get the studio, and you're a patient teacher,
I am getting more patient. I will say, and Dr. Suber and Roger and Bill probably can attest to this, that I have gotten a little more patient. But I'm so eager to get the technology in the hands of students, because I think that's what really excites them, is to get to use gear that they couldn't go to Best Buy and buy. And so that's kind of why I think it's important that for every program that we have the latest and greatest stuff, so that they're excited to use it.
What about the 24-25 school year? What any significant changes in your curriculum?
Significant changes, not super significant. Like I said, I would love to do some live sports production, and I'm hoping to work with WCTV to either partner and help them with their football and their basketball broadcasts, or even try to do something small with just the equipment that we have. But I also want to, because I'm a new teacher, we haven't done any competitions. And so I want to get involved in more of those career tech student organization like competitions like Skills USA, and the BPA, which is Business Partners of America or something. But they have competitions that students can come together and really compete. So that is kind of my goal this year, is to finish fine-tuning the curriculum and then get the students out there, because and I tell them all the time, the only way that you're really going to learn this stuff is if I put a camera in your hands and you go do the production. So
yeah,
that's
competitions are good because
Yeah.
you see kind of where your kids match up.
Exactly.
Of course,
exactly.
being an old debater, as I have been, like to see them going to the national competition. And
Exactly.
also, we had 4 students that we had on the show, went to California, represented program
For speech?
in the 4 Cities Compact.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, they did very, very well. And that helps them. That they grow, being in those situations.
Yeah, I think again, it's all about kind of, and I learned the best by getting thrown into the fire, so to speak. Even when I started at the Browns, we were a very small department at the time, and they were just like, "Hey, you have to do this." And I learned a ton in high school and at Kent State, but I wasn't doing everything. And so I learned very quickly how to do a lot of different things I didn't know. And so a lot of times I'll give or assign projects to the students that will throw them in the fire, so to speak. And it's kind of jarring for a lot of students because it's not something they're used to. But then coming out of it, they learn so much that by the time I throw the next project at them, they're already like, oh, I know what to expect. Like, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
This is how I have to operate. So it is a lot of just, again, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes.
Paul Taylor, I learned a great deal today, and thank you very much for all you've done for the students of the 4 Cities Educational Compact. Teresa Berry is going to join us with Marion's Closet coming up later this week, and we hope you enjoyed the other shows with Sharon Ray, Bill Damasio, and we had 2 wrestlers, state champions, 3 different years, and we interviewed Mr. Tavanello from Columbus, Ohio, that Joanna did coordinate. Thanks for viewing.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.